Right now, in this country, the lifeline we once had when we experience hardship is but a ghost. The unequal negative impact on women's lives during COVID due to entrenched inequalities, the removal of the universal credit uplift that will affect over 31,000 families in Oldham, the increase in fuel and food costs, the housing crisis, low paid insecure work. That constant pressure means that women like me in the North have restrictions on the choices we can make and shockingly live much shorter lives. 79 women in this country have lost their lives to abuse this year. Two of those women are from Oldham. Imi was an inspired lady. We are heartbroken. We can no longer look to a compassionate system, an anchor of hope. People are sinking amidst a failing unequal system that requires action now. In the words of those women who came before us, we so desperately need deeds, not words. We're only ever a habit away from losing a job, becoming sick, caring for a loved one, fleeing an abusive relationship, all life events that can rapidly sweep us into poverty. It is not right that today so many are suffering. It is everybody's business to change that. It is fitting that we are here today in this space, a space where compassion and kindness helps people living in poverty see that a different life was possible. Our founders' ancestral roots came from such spaces. Our organization, Inspire Women Oldham, built on kindness, compassion, and seeking justice for the women we champion. It is important that we both recognize and value the invisible work that women do through care and support and volunteering in our communities. Thousands of unpaid hours by women sustain our communities as well as their contribution to the economy. We are again at a moment in history where compassion towards each other is so greatly needed when over 4 million children are living in poverty in this country. Over a third of children in my hometown, Oldham, are living in poverty. For the first time in 2 decades, poverty is increasing, and 1 in 4 people living in this country have problems with their mental health. Every day, those figures are rising. It is time to redesign our economy so that women like me and like the women who are championed today become visible, can create better futures for themselves and their children. This means having a fair distribution of resources for women, including a place at the table for their voice to be heard, so that they can contribute to social change, that they can have the resources they need to live fulfilled lives, and importantly, so we can all look back at this time and be proud of the parts we played in that change. So, it is time to write a different story about poverty, to write a story about warriors, heroines, and heroes. For Inspire, these are stories of women who are showing women like me that the impossible is possible, of women who are the solution and not the problem, of women whose compassion and kindness has enabled women like me to rediscover hope and to reimagine my life, walking my path out of poverty, knowing I am not alone as I walk beside me, enabling me to see that my voice and my story matter, that I can be part of the solution, that women like me should have a place at the table where my voice is heard and where I can contribute to social change, where I can be treated as an equal rather than a case study. Let us come together as warriors, heroines, and heroes and write a different story. Let's each play a part in that story of change. I will leave you now with some messages of hope from my fellow warriors and heroines.
Women like me in this country are treading water. Some are not making it because we live in a society where the voice of policymakers drowns out the voices of women like me. There is no safety net, invisible, disposable. It's time we, and that means you and me, redesign the unequal system that is keeping women like me feeling powerless. Maybe you don't know women like me exist. Maybe you do, and think it's all my fault. Maybe you only know about women like me when we are murdered. No woman plans to have violence in her life. It becomes a downward spiral. You feel like you are drowning. It pulls you in deeper. You become a shadow. Addiction, mental health, losing a job, housing debt, living in a hostel, no money, no food, your life completely restricted. You become stuck and reliant on a system that moves at a snail's pace, is absent of my voice and the real solutions I need. You feel completely powerless. Months ago, I was introduced to Inspire. I began to walk a path supported by women who had once walked this path too. The key that unlocked so many of the closed doors that had kept me a prisoner. Solutions that enabled me to begin a journey out of poverty, out of having no choice, no voice, being invisible. A solution that was built on compassion and kindness, emotional, financial, and practical support that has enabled me to see that changing my life is possible and achievable. Imagine if what I received was there at the point my life fell apart, was normal, not a fight. Imagine if we were able to remove the restrictions, to look at solutions through the eyes of women like me, and that must include laws, policies and benefits, housing, health, particularly mental health, education, and importantly, safe spaces where women like me can access. Imagine if organisations like Inspire were funded properly. If we are able to see this as everybody's business, we can offer a lifeline, build that safety net for the thousands of women who are moments from drowning. We need to act now. We need to show them that kindness, compassion, and justice is very much alive in our country. This, I speak with conviction because I really believe in it, because, no one should have to go through what I've been through. And if there's any way I can help, like, stop other people having to suffer the way I did, I'll do it. Women like me need the help and support that just isn't out there. We need to change this now.
How we see ourselves has to start with us. You become so used to being labelled, you become lost in them, you begin to drown in them, and hope leaves. Nobody plans to have domestic violence in their lives, and the downward spiral that brings can take you to a living hell. The absence of that lifeline leaves you drowning. It's a different kind of abuse that can leave you literally destitute, in debt and voiceless, hanging on by your fingertips to keep your children dispensable. And then you might be lucky because someone out there decided that it's how it's going to be for women like me, and they begin searching for you, and they do everything they can to help compassion, kindness, and justice. You find hope again. The pink wigs, well, you need to see me, truly see me, and hear me, or you may dismiss that I exist at all. So when you speak about prosperous, about a place for all, about levelling up, did I ever exist in that conversation? Am I visible? Who shared my story? It's easier to wheel me out as a case study in the absence of action. If you see women like me, hear me and understand me, we can change things. My first step was to see that I can be part of the change too, that I can be a warrior and a heroine, to be part of the collective response where everyone has a chance to live a good life. To women watching who is living this story right now, take note, plant a seed, get some support. Who's going through some crap right now to say I'm going to do what she's done in my own way. I'm happy. Inspire is part of my life. It's in my heart. I'm passionate about it. I would take my bra off on the town hall steps and burn it for these ladies. They saved my life. That's compassion and kindness. It's catching. I want that justice. So go and get a pink wig and join us. Let's have deeds, not words. We have enough talking, so enough talking, enough writing. We need action and we need it now. It's time to tell a different story, a story of warriors, heroines, and heroes.
Our economy was designed, so can we not redesign it so that women like me are released from the restrictions it places on me and my children? We shouldn't be written off. If we are to have any future at all, we need to create the conditions for equality. Inequality denies us of developing our potential and strips us of dignity. Before COVID, Women like me were already experiencing unimaginable hardship. As we approach winter, I know the health conditions me and my girls have through incredibly poor housing, made worse by lockdown, will increase as fuel and food prices increase and benefits are reduced. My children are more at risk of developing lifelong conditions. How can that be okay for my girls in this century? Why do women like me have to live in these conditions? Damp, cold and disrepair affects not only health but mental health. The people who make the decisions would not live like this. Why should I? When I hear phrases like we are coming out of the other side of lockdown, it makes me feel angry and sad. Some of us aren't. Some of us weren't in the boat. Some of us were hanging onto the side being dragged over the rocks. Some of us are treading water and the boat is a speck in the distance. People talk about us being all in the same boat, but actually we're not. Mine currently has no life vests, and that sea is getting stormier. And that safety net everybody is talking about is full of holes. There is no safety net. The only consolation is the lighthouse, Inspire. Inspire Women has allowed me and so many other women to see that I can change the things I have control over and build the confidence to have a voice in spaces like these, where my message would be, we can do it, we can do this, but we must act now. Today, in this moment, there are over 4 million children living in poverty. We must ensure none of those children are forgotten. We must make sure their lives do not become worse. To not act would see my girls as dispensable rather than the future, and children are the future. Compassion and justice is at the heart of Inspire. When my girls are my age, I hope the story they share is of a time when we all came together, when power, structures and systems were equal, where women like me were seen and heard, and when we all accepted we had a part to play in creating change, a time when we were stronger together.